Hey everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to get on this online training. You can call it a webinar, informational training, whatever you want to call it. Real quick, a couple things I want you to do though. Close the door, turn off TVs, turn off cell phones, that kind of stuff. And I want you to get a pen, some paper, because we're going to take some notes. Now if you make it all the way through this webinar, this is a participation thing. Maybe I'll put these together, these slides, into a PDF and send those to everybody who shows up today all the way through to the end. So the way I run these webinars is it's participation. I have a special control panel where I can see everyone who's coming in who's paying attention. And I've got folks coming in from, I got Europe, we have Florida, I have West Coast, I've got Far East Coast, and I got people in my hometown. This is great. So things are rolling, things are picking up. This is very good. We had several patients coming in this week that were being even referred in by their psychologists in the area because they're learning that nobody else is doing what we're doing and getting the results that we're getting without medication. So that's pretty awesome. And it's amazing to be a part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, let everybody show up and get ready. Now remember, I do want you to be in front of your computers. I have a special control panel in this webinar that tells me, literally tells me if you're paying attention or not. It's awesome. So we're going to give it a couple minutes. Just hang tight. Alright, that's better. We're filling it up. Okay, now we got people. I also want to make sure that I did record this, okay? So there is a recording of this. There are folks in Denmark that I've spoken to. There are people in England, and people go to sleep. Australia, they're so far ahead of us. The company that's backed us with the special video game we're going to talk about. But it's super important because we know school's just beginning to get started. Some people in this area have already started going back to school. Private schools start a little bit sooner. Specific counties west of us also. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Make sure everything's recording and we're good to go. People are showing up. Awesome. Alright, so this picture here is literally of James River right in front of Richmond, Virginia, in front of the Civil War Museum. It's fantastic. That's my 17-year-old son on a slack line doing some really fun stuff. So we have different websites to help people, whether it's local or global, to get the information they need. This tonight is specifically about classroom strategies, specifically for ADD and ADHD, whether it's private school, or public school, or homeschooling also, which of course is exploding across the United States, especially in Richmond too. Well, let's get started. Let me explain something here that, it's easier to build up a child than it is to prepare an adult. I think everybody on the call right now agrees with that. I take care of 4 years old all the way to 47, and let me tell you, after the 25-year-old groups, it gets tougher and tougher to make the progress that these 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds are making. It's amazing to see, but it's really awesome to be a part of. And there's that quote out there that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go through something. I'm going to read to you. There's a letter from the point of view of a child who has ADHD to their teacher, and it goes like this. Do you have my attention? It's hard to tell by looking at me sometimes because I don't always make eye contact or sit upright, but I'm usually listening to what you're saying. If you're not sure, ask me what you just said rather than asking me if I'm paying attention. If I respond correctly, I'm paying attention. If I cannot repeat information back to you, gain my attention before you present it again. It is a challenge for me to learn passively for extended periods of time. Sometimes all I need is repetition. Once you have my attention, to learn. The more senses you involve, the more engaged I will be. Don't just tell me what to do, show me how, and then have me show you that I understand. Am I distracted or not distracted enough? Sometimes I don't pay attention because I am distracted. Sometimes I need a distraction. A totally still environment can cause my eyes and ears to strain to find out where the distractions went. If I have something subtle to occupy me, two quarters to rub together, or a pair of earphones to muffle sounds, or to listen to music with, I'm neither distracted nor seeking out the distractions. I'm relaxed and alert. Do I have excess energy while I'm sitting still? My attention span is tied to my energy levels. I know you want me to get school tasks done while I'm sitting at a table, but how am I supposed to go forward if my brain is always in neutral? If I cannot move while I think, my engine may stall. If a shutdown occurs, let me stand, move, or shift gears before returning to the target subject. Sometimes a movement break, my balancing exercises, maybe a few jumping jacks, can jumpstart my progress. This works better for me than trying to buckle down and not being able to move around until a task is completely done. Are you teaching me or interrogating me? What I've learned in school is not always apparent, even to me. I need you to help me show what I have learned. When I have to answer a question, make the answer be a goal that I want to reach and I will be proud of when I succeed. But if you tell me that I'm not trying hard enough or not cooperating, my motivation and mindset become that of a prisoner locked in an interrogation room. Being interrogated does not motivate me, but discourages me from wanting to try. I need to feel like you're guiding me toward finding the answers. Give me the right kind of attention. I need a lot more redirection and prompting than my peers. Sometimes I draw attention to myself without meaning to, when I'm fidgeting and don't realize it, or when I'm staring off into space because my mind has wandered again. I need your patient encouragement, not shaming remarks. I want to succeed. I'm not acting this way to annoy you or be disrespectful. My brain works differently, but it does work, and I can tell when adults don't like me. If you are on my side, I will know it and will work harder than if you are just putting up with me. Does that make sense? Go ahead, there's a little hand button. I want you to raise your hand if you agree with that. Touch the little hand button. Put your hand up. Give me a high five on that one. It's important we understand where these kids are coming from. You know, I talk with many parents, obviously, and lots of people about this, and it's not a bad behavior issue. It's nothing like that. It's the simple understanding that if, you understand ADD and ADHD as a clinical diagnosis. Let's put this into a different analogy. If a child with autism was behaving inappropriately in public, you're not going to scold them and do the same things you would to a kid who just has bad behavior. You would understand that there's something else going on. ADD and ADHD is a clinical diagnosis that needs to be handled accordingly. All right, so I want you all to understand that. It's very important. So we're going to move forward. All right, all the hands are down now. Good. Now, what we understand is ADD and ADHD is behavior. It's not a disorder. It's not a mistake, a nuisance, a problem, bad, or negative. It's not a moral decision. It's not a choice. And also now it's not an excuse. In 1994, Dr. Edward Hallowell wrote the book Driven to Distraction, which was literally like the springboard for everyone to begin to understand there was this gift with ADHD. And I knew something was going on with me growing up. I could do intelligent things, I could make amazing things, create and imagine, and had boundless energy, but sometimes we would just destroy stuff. And of course, the psychologists in schools, administrators didn't know what to do with folks like me, so they just put us on medications, on Ritalin and those things. That's all they had back then. And that was not the right idea. But reading through his books, and then finally I get to learn from him 4 or 5 years ago directly from Dr. Hallowell, to do exactly what we do daily with people in our practice with ADHD and helping them find a way to get their life back even without using medication. That's the biggest piece. I have not yet met a parent who really wants their kid on medication. Some of them are just fed up or frustrated or looking for a better way and they just have not found it yet. So look, I know there's problems solving the issues, because most people are focused on the negative attributes. We just talked about that they think it's a nuisance or that's a problem, or they've been called dumb or other worse names, and they've been abused maybe because they were misunderstood. I believe the wrong approach is with drugs and control. That's really what they're looking for with the the drugs themselves to control them and fit them into the structure of school or workplace, relationships, things like that. But parents, adults, and kids need a tried and true way of understanding, containing, and redirecting the enormous brain energy that comes with having the traits of an ADHD brain. That makes sense? Yes. So when we get to that part, listen, these are 5 very important things. They're truths. All my clients and my patients know, in any presentation I've done in public, I bring concrete, real evidence. I don't want to bring you theory. I don't want you to bring other people's philosophies. I want something that's researched and real. So I want you to know all of the things we're talking about is researched and proven. First, that it's anatomically different, the brain. It is a genetic predisposition. The digestive system is different. Many people don't know that part. There is inconsistent firing of the neurology, and the brain itself uses glucose for energy differently than other people's brains. Now, before we go on, because we're going to get into it a little bit more, are there any questions? I'm going to put everybody's hands down for now. Are there any questions? You can raise your hand. You can actually add a question into the little question box, and I'll answer it. Let me know. Yeah, I always seem to get that one. The digestive system, specifically, what I'm talking about is many different tests have been done, Great Smoky Labs, those things with saliva tests, and also for the gut, that it's not so much as a leaky gut syndrome or a celiac problem, but more right in between those. They call it dysbiosis, really, but it's the lack of the correct enzymes to digest the food properly. Okay, got that? So even if we're eating great foods, but we're not digesting the food completely properly, of course we're not going to get the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals from that food that we need, or the correct protein levels, or having the protein go through the digestive system correctly. Yes, I know that's a new one for a lot of people. The inconsistent firing of the neurology, that does make sense to many people. I have a question here. How has it been proven? The genetics being proven is where in research they have taken twins, fraternal twins, identical twins, and when they're geographically separated and they follow them through their lives and they see the same traits, the same symptoms, the same problems, then that's where they start to do those longitudinal studies to check that out. All right, let's move on. We have a lot to cover. I'm going to get rid of some of those questions and we're going to hit them a little bit later. Now, what happens when the ADD brain isn't integrated? I'm talking about the left brain and the right brain, the cerebellum talking to your prefrontal cortex. So let's go through these. Look, you've got diminished misfiring global brain function, decreased ability to synchronize sensory information. It impedes a person's braking system, their ability to pause. We're not Pavlov's dogs. We do have a gap between stimulus and response. We want to widen that gap so we can actually make better choices. It affects the brain's ability to learn and moderate behavior, attention, and impulsivity. It has impulsive motor hyperactivity issues. And there's powerful emotional swings and frustrations. It affecting aspects of executive functioning and organizational skills. Also, you can have a difficulty with reading, comprehension, and understanding directions. Now, I wrote here, it can have difficulty with reading because not everybody does. The late crawling and attainment of other milestones. That's important because we know that in terms of the crawling piece, that's neurologically helping the body to get to know itself, really. And also, many people's favorite and most misunderstood, a diminished concept of consequences. When your child or son or daughter or spouse has done the same thing over and over, and you know that they know they're going to get in trouble for it, and they continue to do it. So you ask, little Johnny, why you keep jumping off the sidewalk? You might get run over by a car or something else, and they're not connecting it. So it's important. Now I want you to imagine being progressively integrated. This is what's possible. Got it? Reduce ADD and ADHD behaviors and symptoms. All the children rated by their parents as being at normal level after training. The scores on the BRS, which is taken by the parents and teachers, shows reduction in the symptom frequency. We have more attentive behaviors that were perceived during and after training sessions. Children started showing more socially meaningful behaviors. There's improvement in assignment completion and exertion of more patience during the tasks. Yeah, that's a lifesaver right there. No more homework battles. Broad behavioral problems were lessened. Social, aggressive, and delinquent problems lessened. Children had completed more schoolwork, and the improvements remained after training. Increased attentive behavior in class, improved quality of schoolwork, improved these children's social status. So it's not just Johnny's getting better grades, or Johnny's learning quicker, or he's reading better. You know, kids these days, they move around in groups, and if they perceive another child as being slower or different or faster, things like that, you've got to know that socially that impacts them. So we know that improving how things are going at school also improves their social status, which, yes, is important. I understand that. Children had better social status after the training, as rated by their homeroom teachers. Increased children's confidence in doing tasks, and their motivation for doing daily tasks improves. Interestingly, when we're working with our clients and they get better at simple things that mom and dad ask them to do 100 times a day, there's 4 or 5 things that they're supposed to do upstairs before school when they come down to get breakfast in their backpack. So we work on getting the kids to be a little more self-sufficient too, and thinking forward about that. The same thing goes for spouses. Spouses are particular things that they have daily tasks that they also need to be doing to make their spouse's life better, or help around the entire house, or get the kids to understand the role modeling. So there are, throwing that rock into the pond and then the ripples that go out. There are major changes that happen, not just with the client themselves, but with the unit around them, the family unit, and maybe a work environment as well. So the last one, their expectation for success increased. Improvement of the cognitive and state control problems that are commonly associated with ADHD. We do all of this. I see it happening. It's amazing, from 4 years old to 47 years old. And we're doing it while people are changing medication or getting off the medication and improving their lives. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. So how we help, because I got people on here from different parts of the world and different parts of the United States, how we help using online ADHD programs. So we also do Skype. Many clients found us from over an hour and a half away. So we create online sessions to review, discuss, problem solve, congratulate, demonstrate, engage with the parents. We also the teachers and other caregivers. That's important. The video sessions. Many of these important steps have been recorded to teach, to demonstrate, and they can be used as reference material. The manuals and PDFs. Written to provide guidance in the areas of nutrition, focus, mindset, exercise, organization, motivation, values, and the list goes on. There are online assessments available in several different formats, which can be used to determine outside observer progress. Just recently, great stuff, Focus Pocus' brainwave controlled video game with focus and monitoring system keeps everyone abreast of progress. And if we need to do telephone and email communication, always if you need to stay in communication with me. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty. You got on this webinar for a particular reason, and we're going to get right to it. I want to see how many people here are paying attention. And if anybody wants to ask any questions, let's do that now. So if there's any questions about the last couple things we went through. Okay, that is a good question. Right, so I'm a chiropractor. It is not my job to tell you to not take a drug or to take medication or not take it. That decision is always up to the parents. And the parents, I want the parents to talk with the doctor who's prescribed it and get the doctor involved with any changes that you're going to do. Definitely. That is up to the parents. It is not a requisite for the program at all. And I will help you through whatever decisions you're comfortable with. Does that make you feel better? Okay. Good. Moving on, let's see what another one. The Focus Pocus is a video game that was created specifically with 12 mini games that uses a EEG headset by NeuroSky that we provide and help you guys get at a discount that helps the children and anybody using it to use their brainwaves to make the game work. And the focus and monitoring system follows the progress through 25 training sessions, and develops reports daily, weekly, and at the end of it to show how well things have gone and where improvements need to be made. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's move on. That it? I'm going to put the hands down for now. Can everybody? Okay. Now, hopefully you guys are paying attention, and we're going to get a lot of stuff here. Okay, so look, the goals in the classroom for ADD and ADHD, clearly similar ones as you know, even in the house, even in home, and even if you're an employer and you've got employees with ADD and ADHD, these 7 things are important. So number 1, we want to limit destructive and disruptive behavior. We want to reduce stress on a teacher-student relationship, of course. I want to connect with their emotional intelligence as well as their IQ. 4, taking responsibility, huge. Learn how to overcome self-doubt. 6, create an awareness of patterns. 7, empower them. You know, these are so important. Amazing that we could go on for hours talking just about these 7 things, but let's move forward. I think I've got over 20 different ways we're going to tackle these goals. All right, so we're moving forward. So we're going to start on the left. List of school solutions, whole spectrum. You know, there's hundreds of things we can do, but these are ones we know work very well. Providing additional supplies, using the right supplies. Okay, so giving and getting assignments and writing. Right here, providing additional supplies and using the right supplies. When it comes to, you know, what works properly for a certain person in their classroom, what kind of pen do they like, you know, or do they need a little gel thing on the pencil? Where's their box of crayons and pencils and pens? Do they have enough paper? Do they have the paper clips? All this stuff. What we know, you know, as this goes into the home staging area, is you want to make sure that they have everything that they need in one place. You know, imagine someone who's doing really, really good work, and then they're on a moment, they got momentum, and they run into a glitch and they need to sharpen their pencil or something like that. Well, in the act of leaving the desk to go sharpen the pencil, they see a book over here, or there's a bird outside, or someone walked by in the hallway, and all these other distractions, and by the time they get back to the desk, you know, they've lost precious time and the thought process of the momentum. It's important that someone with ADD and ADHD who has momentum in a work project continues that momentum. Super important. Now, giving and getting these assignments in writing, making sure, I mean, a lot of schools use agendas, they use different things. We want to have, you know, you're going to have a discussion with the teachers anyway to let them know what works best with your child. And, you know, I'm sure there's a way to do this with your spouse at work, but obviously this is for kids at school. Now, getting your assignments in writing is super important, and get the children to know that every day when they're leaving school, they should have their assignments in writing. If they don't have their assignments in writing, then something was missed. Now, color coding your folders, books, and supplies. You want to make sure that you're, you know, whoever you're working with, your children, that they are involved in picking the colors, picking what they want to do. So it empowers them and they feel a part of the whole process. It's very important. You know, designing a folder system that works for them. A lot of kids younger and younger now work on computers really well, some of them better than us. So they could do folder systems literally on their laptop or iPod or whatever they're using, iPads. But also at home, you know, the hard copy of some of the important things, the syllabus, or the important things of reports, quizzes, or spelling tests, things like that that you want to keep. Make sure that it's organized. People with ADD and ADHD aren't the most organized type of people. They like to go from one thing to another. So helping them in the organization piece is very important. You know, we used to say getting enough organized is important. Now, if a person in school has an IEP or a 504 plan, review that and get it reviewed again based on any improvements and progress that they've made, maybe over summertime or in summer school, or just even maturing and becoming a more responsible person. Maybe you changed nutritional habits or some exercise habits, or you came into my practice and things got better, and so you have to review these and change them up accordingly. You know, I know that several people on here are private school, some are public school, some are schools completely out of the country, and knowing what you want from a school and understanding what your rights are as a parent with your child is very, very important. And know exactly what you're looking for. And don't just take the first place that you find. I think really dig deep and find, is this the right place? If I need to place my child in a special school or a school that specifically has trained teachers to handle this, that's a great step. Now, making sure that the school systems, organizing them together. Systems meaning, like we talked about before, is homework coming home? How is it coming home with us? Do we discuss things with the teacher? Do we discuss things on Skype with the teacher? Does the teacher email me properly? Systems in terms of how we communicate with each other are very important. This home staging area is discussing, where are we going to do homework? Where are we going to do projects? Where are things organized? Do we have music available, or do we have certain things? Do we have different chairs that we like to sit and read? Do we have a glass of water, a bottle of water? What's there? You want this home staging area so that once a person's working and they're getting the work done, the momentum that they created will not be stopped by something that's missing. Now, planning specific after-school activities. People with ADD and ADHD need to move. They need to exercise. We want to get certain things out. We call it like blowing off the steam, all the excess energy that's there. We can't be expected to sit still and continue to do work when it's that time of day when the body wants to go run and climb or go play soccer. The ADHD brain is a high stimulus seeking type of brain. So finding things we know, like martial arts, solo sports, and rock climbing or tennis, things that they're actively engaged. Some kids thrive at team sports and some don't. But we have to be sure that we have activities available which also help create social situations so the children are meeting other human beings face to face, shaking hands and high-fiving each other instead of just talking through a screen or playing on their Xbox or with texting and Twitter and those things nowadays. Now, making a calendar with a kid. There are apps all over the place now that can help us organize the day, and reminders that can follow through with us and also tell us exactly what details of things need to be done. So helping, whether it's, the 4 to the 8-year-olds, maybe not so much, but as we get through the 10-year-olds to the teenagers, they can be properly, positively using their phone to help guide them through their day better so they don't forget things and they have reminders, and it helps them become more self-sufficient and mature about using their time better. Nutrition excellence. We could talk about this forever. This is the most important piece to the brain, the body, how it functions, the energy that it has. When we're working hard, we're trying to learn something, we need to have fuel inside our body, correct fuel. So the nutrition piece is being laid out, preparing it ahead of time, knowing what's going to be in the lunchbox, what's going to be the snack after lunch, or is there a snack before lunch, right after school. Most kids haven't eaten for 4 or 5 hours. Do we have a protein bar, or is there a smoothie for that child right when they're done? Do not go to a drive-through. We don't go to McDonald's after school. That's not going to help. We need proper nutrient-dense foods going into these bodies. Now, top right, we're going to talk with the teacher about ADHD. If the teacher may have their own idea about it, they may see it, as we discussed earlier, as one of those negative attributes. There's Johnny, that kid who just keeps on disturbing class and is just disruptive and talks and talks and talks and then throws paper airplanes. Maybe the teacher doesn't understand that it's a clinical thing. Maybe the teacher, has read the IEP and has her own ideas, and you have your own ideas about the IEP. So I want you to be able to communicate, but talk with the teacher. There's more that we talk to the teacher about as we go down this list. Well Done is actually a book written in the same style as a Ken Blanchard book, like 1 Minute Manager, and it discusses SeaWorld and how the trainers trained the killer whales and the dolphins and these enormous animals that could literally bite your head off, training them to do tricks, and the way the positive reinforcement is. And the Well Done, the whole gist of it, 2 main things is that you're looking for the person with ADD and ADHD, you're looking for them to do the right thing. You're looking to catch them doing the right thing. And that's what you're searching for. That's what you're looking for. Human nature is that we like to point out what's wrong, what's negative, what's bad. 100 things happen in a day, 90 of them were awesome, and 10 were bad. When you're laying in bed at night, you're thinking about those other 10 things. It's the weirdest thing. So we're looking for them to do the right thing, whether they brush their teeth right, whether they take their dishes off the table. When the teacher sees them, clean up their desk correctly, or maybe help another student, or pick up something off the ground. It's these little things that they're doing that are right. Even if it's obvious they should be doing them, it's still the right thing. And praise and recognition for someone with ADHD is like Christmas morning. It's incredible. So it's simple things, okay? Understand that. Now, number 2 part of that is if that behavior that they're doing is not acceptable, it's not what you want, be the responsible, mature person and work to guide them into a behavior that they can be praised and recognized for. That's the advanced piece of that. Anybody can look for the right thing to do, catch someone doing the right thing and praise them, recognize them for it. But when it comes to someone doing the wrong thing and the unacceptable thing, socially not cool at that point, to guide them into a behavior that they can be praised and recognized for, that's when things begin to change. And this isn't just for teachers and parents. This is also, like, imagine if coaches and employers did this, and grandmas and daycare providers and babysitters and friends. It's, something changes when we talk with our clients, and there's almost a game at home of who can encourage somebody else. Who can the kids catch the parents doing the right thing? Can the parents catch the kids doing the right thing? And it changes the dynamic. The energy is going to change in the house. So the classroom is going to work too. So now, when you're talking with someone who has ADD and ADHD, it talked about in the beginning of that letter to make sure you have their attention, but be specific when you're giving an order and a command. And in America, I wrote Bedelia. In America, that book is Amelia Bedelia, and maybe it's read across the globe nowadays, who knows, but she was very, very funny about how she took the words at face value and just did what she said. So be very specific when you want somebody to do something. Now, assigning a classmate to clarify directions could also be a helpful part of getting assignments in writing. Got it? Avoid multiple step directions. Do not give somebody who has ADHD an 8-step direction on how to do something. One thing. Okay, go do that. It comes back. Great job. That was awesome. Now this part and this part. And then help them to put steps 1, 2, and 3 together into one thing. And then 4, 5, and 6 into the next, and then 7, 8, and 9. Okay, avoid the multiple step instructions because they're going to get lost in the shuffle until they begin to learn how to put the things together and to see further and beyond and begin with the end in mind. Communicate. Communicate is huge. In the letter from the ADHD child to the teacher, the communication was, get my eyes looking at you. Ask me, what did I hear you say? And have me repeat it to you. That's communication. When I can say something to somebody and that other somebody can tell me what they heard and it is exactly what I wanted to communicate, that is communication. Just barking orders at somebody and telling them what to do is not communication. When the receiver clearly understands instructions and can tell back to me, the main person, what they are, that's communication. That's important. If we need to find a tutor, definitely do that. A tutor has been looked on in the past maybe as something negative, but I think it's a great way to use to become stronger and to get help to become stronger. And we also know that you master what you can teach. Tutors are the smartest people in the class or in upperclassmen because they're continually teaching others also. So it's an interesting piece. Now, talking with the teacher up here, discuss how they are allowed to move in class. Now, there are different things. We have school systems that allow wobble boards, those balance boards in the back of the room. There are different bands that could have rubber bands at the table. There are different motions that the clients learn to do with either their legs, feet, or hands that are not disruptive, that can help their brain start to function and get integrated while they're just sitting there and possibly trying to stay focused. Now it's important so that you, before school, talk with the teacher about what they're going to allow and what they're okay with in the classroom. Yes, we already, we can teach several quiet exercises for the kids to use in the classroom, and that's been very, very helpful. The Velcro on the bottom of the seat, take the rough edge and let right underneath the seat or a backpack, and you have someone who fidgets a lot, just rub their fingers on it, and a lot of times that's enough stimulus for their brain to keep things calm and they can cool down. And stretching, moving without making noise and disrupting class and those things. So that's important, and I know we just spent a lot of time, felt like, going through all of that. So let me get a show of hands. Put your hands up if you agree with some of those, a lot of those, all of those. Let me see. There's a little hand button that you guys can put your hand up. There we go. There's a couple more going. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so we're getting the hands going up a lot. Okay, this is important. I literally reviewed this whole thing and added stuff to it, and because this system evolves, that's what I love about it. And new things are used, and of course IEPs are changed, school systems change stuff, and we have to keep abreast and make some changes. And since now we're doing a lot of global work, it's amazing the feedback that we get. It's a lot of fun. So now I'm going to put the hands down, and we're going to move forward. I got to close the screen real quick. Okay, so we know the tools in the toolbox to help improve the expression of these symptoms. Dr. Hollowell trained and certified me to identify developmental and environmental triggers for ADHD and help the person eliminate them from their life. If we're able to come into the practice, the chiropractic adjustments increase neural efficiency, decrease neurodural stress, and reconnect the spine to the cerebellum to the prefrontal cortex. The neurological reintegration through the application of very specialized and specific physical exercises and movements. Obviously, there's dietary nutritional shifts, there's supplemental regimes, brain-friendly lifestyle advice. See, it's important where I am unlike many other ADHD doctors you're ever going to meet. I've been through it. I deal with it on a daily basis. I learn to handle it. I find better ways to do things. I was put on 4 separate medications as a kid trying to figure me out. And I realized that I had to find a way without the medication. And there is a way. And I know it. I proved it to myself, and I revolutionized my own life. Then we started working with clients who were between 6 and 10 years old, and it was amazing. Then we started branching out towards the teenagers and going a little bit lower. And then we started branching out globally and helping other people. So we know that even across the planet, we have something that parents are looking for. They are searching for this. And I do almost everything I can to get the word out. And I appreciate everybody who's on the webinar tonight who have obviously been sharing and helping out and phone calling and emailing me, because I know that people are looking for this. Now I want you to imagine a future with school curriculums that strengthen and support ADHD type thinkers and doers. That would be awesome. The ones who can do the math in their head, but then when you show them, tell them to show your work and they mess it up. Those thinkers, the ones who are just quick and they know certain stuff, they come up with solutions to problems that would just keep you speechless. It's amazing. I want less drugs being incorrectly prescribed to our children. That's a future I want. Imagine a future with kids growing up with self-esteem instead of being branded a problem. You imagine changing a community with kids with high self-esteem that's genuine because they believe in themselves. There's no self-doubt. Wow. Imagine a future where we change the drug abuse and the alcoholism and addiction that's so prevalent with ADHD. Studies show 50% of people with ADD and ADHD become alcoholics or addicts. And that's only what's reported. We can make a huge change here. And I want to do it. And I'm not giving up until we have more and more momentum and this begins to occur. So, the list of satisfied clients. You know, all of these people. This is on a wide open website where anybody could post anything they want. It drives my mother crazy because she's afraid someone's going to go on there and say something just horrible. But all of these are glowing and fantastic. And these are people that still come into my practice after the program's done. And they learn more and they get better, they get stronger, they get new certifications, they graduate, they do a whole bunch of other stuff. It's amazing. So, last one. So you're sitting there watching this, possibly you're thinking, this is what I've been looking for, and you want to get started. So this is what we can do. And I know some of you have already scheduled new client evaluations with me. And I know a couple people on here who have been through the program, and I have some people who are in the program. And it's great to be continually helping more and more people. So the way to schedule a new client evaluation is very simple. This link right here, drericetka.acuityscheduling.com, we use an online scheduler because it's just easier. And you choose a calendar, you click that link, you can choose the calendar, you choose ADHD Rescue New Clients, you can choose the appointment type, and anybody who's on this webinar who watches this later, there's a 50% discount code, literally hashtag ADHD Rescue. You've got to put the hashtag in there when you schedule that, and that way you save $200 off your initial evaluation. That's a big deal. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up again for more questions. I want to see. Raise your hand if you have a question, and I'll open up the other question box because it likes to jump around. There's a lot of people on here. Questions. I know I answered a lot of questions going through it too. Everybody loves the insurance question. You know, my entire chiropractic practice doesn't even accept insurance anymore because it's ridiculous. The reimbursements rates for what we actually provide for people isn't nearly what it used to be, or should be anyway. The ADHD program is an out-of-pocket expense, and it's an amazing program. We have several different payment plans for it. We've got a 6-month version. We also have a 12-month version as well, and there's different payment plans along the way. Oh. If prior clients want to come in and begin again, we have now created 3 new separate programs. There's particularly strictly chiropractic adjustments. There are one package program called Chiropractic XYZ that involves more of the active changes in the lifestyle that happen with chiropractic. There's also an ADHD post program that you can email me at info.dretka@gmail.com to get more information about that. Yes, I did. Next question was about vitamins and supplements. There are obviously countless numbers of companies out there that have vitamins and supplements. We use a particular set of 3 in the beginning to get people started because the majority of folks, their diet is not fantastic, and so we get them on particular ones. I'm not going to say the names here because I know we're recording this and it doesn't need to be out there yet. But specifically, we're going for a whole food multivitamin, a particular set of digestive enzymes, and also a particular formula of omega-3s to help with the body and the nervous system. Got it. Other things. There are, low-tech equipment. We'd mentioned the exercises and balance boards. We also use balance boards. We use juggling balls. We use 2-pound weights, 3-pound weights. It looks a lot like a physical therapist office in the room that we use there. And with the program, then we provide those for the client so they can have those. We train them what to do at home, and we also review them online on Skype and also in the practice. The first evaluation is a solid hour. Sometimes it's been going over an hour depending on how much we're discussing the history and talking about certain things. When a person schedules their first evaluation, we get the email. They're immediately sent the history form in a editable PDF format, and we'll also give you the details for the program that answer pretty much every single question we've ever been asked about the program. I believe in full disclosure and giving you everything, so when you walk in the door, you know what you're here for, what the evaluation entails, and what we're looking for, and then what the idea, the treatment programs are after that, what choices and recommendations we're going to be looking at depending on what we find in the evaluation. So the short answer to your question is, how long is the first evaluation? Is 1 hour. In discussing with your teacher, someone's asking about if the classroom allowed a Theraball in the classroom. You would have to discuss that with your teacher, and I would say 20 to 30% of teachers now are allowing more pieces of generally low-tech equipment into the practice to help with, easing a kid who's really fidgety. A lot of children, they've been doing this in Europe for a very long time, sitting on a Theraball to help with a little bit of the shakiness, and the shifting actually calms down the brain waves and the person can focus. It's almost, you're wondering, like, how in the world would they bring a giant ball into a classroom? But used properly while sitting on the ball, it's been shown that the minor movements of keeping the posture straight actually helps calm down the brain so the person can focus. Good question. Next question. Now, you can schedule your evaluation. You come in for the evaluation, and we do everything, get the information, we talk, and we meet, and we see if the client is even a candidate for the program. After that, then we can make some decisions on where we want to go forward with that. It's not assumed that every person walking in the door is a candidate for the program. Okay, there has to be a fit. If I can help somebody, I'm going to do everything I can to help that person. And if I can't help you, I will tell you that as well. That's only fair. Any questions? Oh, that's a good one. So yeah, internationally, I am more than happy to talk with other schools in different countries, in different time zones, teachers, to help the clients in the classroom and help get what they need, or maybe clear up some misunderstandings, or align goals and outcomes that we want to do. Yeah, I'm very open to spreading the word and reaching out there. I really don't want kids to grow up and have to go through the life that I endured. I want to be able to help them, because now we can, and now we should, and we have the ability, we have the technology to make these kids' lives so much better. And not just for them to just make it through. These people with an ADHD brain have an amazing brain, and finding the right ways to make it augment the abilities and do the amazing things that these children can do, the creativity, the curiosity, the energy, is boundless sometimes, and harnessed, it can do an amazingly productive things. I think that's it. I'm just clicking through a bunch of their questions, make sure I have everybody's stuff. Okay. Got it. All right. Now, are there any other questions? Raise your hand. I'm looking at the raise your hand piece right now to see. Good. All right. So listen, I've answered everybody's questions. I really appreciate it. How long are we on? 50 minutes. Well, congratulations, everybody. I really appreciate your help. We got this done in under an hour. There is a recording of this, so if you want to share this with somebody else tomorrow, husband, spouse, wife, teachers, employers, anybody, it takes about 24 hours for GoToWebinar to record this, and I'll make sure if you contact me, I will make it available to you. Okay? I hope you have a wonderful night and get some sleep whatever time zone you're in. And thank you very much, and I look forward to sharing some more information or meeting you face to face. Good night.